Hi, I'm Kim, and I first learned about the Grief to Grace retreat a year after attending Rachel's Vineyard in May of 2012 from a good friend of mine who was the facilitator of my Rachel's Vineyard retreat and had become a mentor to me. She shared with me about the Grief to Grace retreat, knowing that I was still bound by the trauma of sexual abuse. She told me it was like a Rachel's Vineyard retreat on steroids. I had truly received a very powerful healing at the Rachel's Vineyard retreat from my 2 abortions, and had often described that whirlwind experience as feeling as if I had drank from a water hydrant for 72 hours straight. It was hard for me to fathom what the Grief to Grace retreat experience would be like, but I knew I was still struggling with deep anger, rage, bitterness, and resentment toward my mom. She had married a known pedophile when I was 5, who sexually molested my 3 younger sisters and me for a period of 3 years. Heaped on top of that abuse, I knew I was also struggling with the sexual abuse from my best friend's father, who molested me from the age of 11 to 15. God was gently bringing me to the realization that I really had a lot of anger, rage, bitterness, and resentment toward my dad for not being there to protect us after my parents' divorce, starting at the age of 3. When I was completely honest with myself, I knew I was really blaming God for allowing all of these bad things in my life to happen to me. I truly felt abandoned by Him and all the other male authority figures in my life that should have protected me. I was so embittered with all of this pain that I was ready to actually walk away from my faith. This deep, smoldering anger and rage were destroying every relationship I had, especially with my husband and even my relationship with my kids. I was just angry with everyone all the time, and I sure wanted everyone to know it. It had already claimed the relationships with my extended family. I felt as if I was just barely hanging on to the edge of a cliff, and I knew this was eating me up on the inside. By May of 2015, I was more than ready to give this Grief to Grace retreat a try, and in everything in my life, it just seemed to be spiraling out of control. I had tried numerous recovery groups over a 22-year period and years of counseling to try to make peace with the abuse I had suffered and the effect it was having on all of my relationships. I really didn't think anything was ever going to help me heal completely and be at peace with all the people that I had so much bitterness and resentment toward. I felt betrayed by everyone. However, I secretly hoped that just maybe this would be the place that God would zap me and free me from this bondage I was chained in and being strangled by, and that I would finally be able to make peace with all of my demons. Deep down, it scared the heck out of me to think of living life without my faith. Thankfully, God had arranged for me to attend Grief to Grace, June 27th through July 2nd this year, 2015, in Philadelphia, with Dr. Teresa Burke. The biggest takeaway from the last conversation I had with my friend 2 days before leaving for Philadelphia was to do the work and don't hesitate to let Dr. Burke know if I was feeling stuck with anything. I told her I intended on getting my money's worth while there. These words propelled me through a lot of tough moments and continue to encourage me in some of the hardest memories that I faced while there. I truly believed this was going to be my last chance to get well. The greatest experience that I had during the retreat was 2 days in, when I received a complete, miraculous release from all the rage during the anger exercises. It was everything I had hoped it would be and more. I actually felt physically lighter and free from all the terrible anger, rage, resentment, and bitterness. Then as we journeyed the way of the cross with Christ the next day, I was able to begin to truly grieve what He had suffered and what I had suffered, along with my fellow retreatants, and to really allow the healing to begin to take hold. As this was all taking place, I was beginning to feel the joy, unspeakable, overflowing, and bubbling over. I was learning that through Christ's redemption and resurrection, I am indeed set free by His blood. Another great moment for me that week was when Dr. Burke asked us to quickly write down what we were hearing God say to us regarding His promise of new life. He said to me, "Thus saith the Lord, I have redeemed you and made you new to shine for me and lead others to find their light again." I'm so excited and looking forward to serving others and being used by God to help lead them back to their light. My life has changed tremendously and miraculously since the retreat. I'm overflowing with joy and love for others. I'm completely at peace and have been given the mandate by God to do no harm to others. I know I am to live at peace with everyone as far as it depends on me. God has given me the opportunity to heal all of my relationships since returning home on July 2nd. I love everyone again, and they are truly convinced this is for real. My healing is a miracle, and I hold on to it every day and know what a divine gift I've been given. My husband and I have been on what feels like a second honeymoon. He is still in awe of what God has done in me. Best of all, I love me for the first time ever. I'm going about the process of healing my body now that my heart, mind, and emotions have entered this healing process. Better than all of that, I love my Lord more and more every day, and finally have the life I always wanted. I found this awesome wall hanging that says, "It is never too late to live your happily ever after." This is my new motto, and I'm sticking to it. The most incredible thing I've learned from God after returning home is that I have a choice every single new day that He gives me to choose joy. I would absolutely, without any hesitation, recommend Grief to Grace to anyone who has suffered the trauma of abuse of any kind. This has become my prayer for my 3 sisters and others that I know that are in bondage to the effects of the trauma of abuse. I know God will provide for these I pray for in His timing.